All right, how's everybody doing? Again, I'm just trying to drop in and share some things that I think will be helpful for your walk. If you remember me talking about the concept that I have of morning and evening, which is an opportunity for you to be strategic in making sure you get some word and also being reflective and putting some thought into those things that you have read and kind of meditated on. Um, Remember, I said morning will be good for you to read whatever Proverbs it is for that date. So today was the 21st, and Proverbs 21 would be the one you read, and so on. And then in the evening, I said it'd be good if you would get in one of the Gospels, excuse me, and read some of that. Um, I want to start by just reading Proverbs 21, and then I want to read verse 2. And this is the New Living Translation. And I want to look at several other verses to kind of tie some things together. But I just want you to kind of think a little bit. This is just an example of what you can do when you read through the Proverbs, whatever that proverb is today, read through all of those verses. And then if you see one or two or a couple in there that kind of stand out to you or even may fit together in some type of theme, uh, focus on those. Take the time to just focus on those and let that be what you do for that day. So Proverbs 21 and 2. People may be right in their own eyes, but the Lord examines the heart. Um, there's this repeated theme throughout Scripture of God examining the hearts of people. And he does it for many different reasons, but it's really an example that we ought to follow. First, before we even go any further, I want you to see one instance of this in First Samuel when he is about to anoint King David. So in verse 7 of 1 Samuel chapter 16, it says, "But the Lord said to Samuel, don't judge by his appearance or height, for I have rejected him. The Lord doesn't see things the way you see them. People judge by outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." And I want you to really pay attention there because Samuel goes to Jesse, which is David's father, King David. And David is the youngest, and David is out. He's the shepherd boy. He's out there tending to the cattle. And the other boys in there, and as they bring the sons in, he's like, oh, it got to be him. Oh, and then he was like, God says, no, it's not him. Oh, it got to be him. It's like the appearance, what it is on the outside is what's drawing the attention of this individual. But as he's rejecting them one by one, he says, to Samuel, don't judge by the appearance or the height, because I've rejected him. He says, I don't see things the way that people see them. We're really good at just looking on the outward appearance. And I can tell you right now, many people have fell for that trap when it comes to relationships, where the outward part of the person is so attractive that we tend to ignore all kind of red flags um, about the person's heart and that person's character. And that's just one example. But also in Luke chapter 16, and in verse, I'm going to read 14 and 15, but in verse 14 it says, the Pharisees who dearly loved their money heard all of this and scoffed at him. Then he said to them, and this is Jesus, you like to appear righteous in public, but God knows your hearts. What this world honors is detestable in the sight of God. I mean, I just think about this, and we'll talk more about when you begin to go beneath the surface, and that's really basically what I'm talking about today. But going beneath the surface, and I love that Jesus challenged them and revealed their hypocrisy. He said that you like to appear righteous, you like to appear to be doing the right thing and being in right standing before God. You like to appear that way in public, in front of everyone, but God knows your heart and is what the world honors, right? What the worldly system honors, and that can be what everybody honors in society or little towns and villages. What most people would honor, we can say it that way, is detestable in the sight of God. And so there's wisdom in going beneath the surface. Just like as that situation right there in Luke 16 and 15, when it came to the leadership, the Pharisees, things are not always the way that they are presented to us, or how they look on the outside, which we saw in First Samuel. You know, that opens the door for all kind of deception and deceit on behalf of other people whose heart is not right in the first place. And so that's a lot of what it means to go beneath the surface. It's seeing exactly the character and the heart of the individual that's before you, and not just taking things at face value, because that's dangerous to do. Um, but also this type of discipline, right? Going beneath the surface, it can help to expand our awareness. Now, when we're talking about expanding our awareness in a sense, when we talk about the heart, that deals a lot with our awareness. It's what we tend to focus on at the present. But expanding our awareness, allowing ourselves to discern the hearts of people, can be very beneficial for our walk with Christ, but also for our lives in general. You see, when you do more than just look at the surface level or the outward appearance of whatever it is before you, a person or a concept or a teaching or whatever that's being presented to you, being able to discern what's really in the heart of the presenter is vital when you're dealing with folk just in general. And we'll look at a few different verses here in Proverbs 21 that I think will kind of illustrate some of those things. But before we do that, I also would say, uh, in regards to expanding our awareness, when you think about discerning the hearts of people that we interact with or come in contact with, but it's also, this discipline can help to expand our thinking capacity. And what I mean by that is this: yes, it helps us to be able to pay attention and learn to discern what's going on in a person's heart, their motives, and all of those things in the first place. But it also can help us with just regular situations and circumstances that we find ourselves in on a daily basis. It helps us to go below the surface in our thinking, that we just don't put no type of effort in at all in something that we're thinking about or even thinking through. We actually take the time to chew on it and turn it over in our mind so that we can begin to slowly go beneath the surface. Um, I think there's, again, a lot of wisdom in going beneath the surface. But let me show you a few examples. So originally I read verse 2, right, where it says people may be right in their own eyes, but the Lord examines the heart, right? They might be right in their own eyes. To them they're doing what's right, whether they are or they not. But God is the one that's discerning the heart. He is the one that's examining what's really going on in the inside, and we ought to mimic that. But verse 3 says, the Lord is more pleased when we do what is right and just than when we offer sacrifices. And me and my son was talking about this. And you got to think about when people came to offer sacrifices unto the Lord, right, for that continual way to stay in right standing and atone for those sins and different things like that. And there were many different offerings, but you have to think about that. You have different type of people that are there. Some people in between those times are really trying to do the right thing, whether they do it and fail at times or whatever. It's in their heart, their motivation to do the right thing. So when they come to offer sacrifices, those individuals are really wanting to get right with the things that they fail to do right in certain circumstances. But then you have other people that really don't care about doing the right thing, but they will take advantage of this opportunity. And I say take advantage, which might not be the right word, because we can't run game on God, and people think they're going to do that when it's time to go to heaven. Like when we stand before God, we'll be able to, well, I believed in you, so you ought to just go and let me in the gates. But it don't work like that. But we're not going to go into that. But some people are just not motivated to do the right thing, but they will still come to bring that sacrifice and say that, hey, forgive me too, but don't plan on trying to do the right thing or making any necessary changes. And so I thought that verse was important when I began to read through some of this. But also in verse 10, it says, evil people desire evil. Their neighbors get no mercy from them. And if you think about that, the word that really stands out there is desire. Evil people, they desire it. It's something that's going on the inside. They just don't do evil for evil's sake. It's getting to the point to where evil is something that you desire all the time instead of desiring something good. And then there may be times when you're tempted to do evil and you fall and you fail in that progress. But this is talking about those that are not in that position to want to do good. But evil people, they desire evil. That's just what it is. And going beneath the surface helps us to see some things in the heart of individuals. After a while, you'll be able to discern those that want to do right but fail versus those who ain't even trying to do right. They might try to mask it in all kind of different ways. But like, again, this discipline will help us to be able to go below the surface to examine their hearts and even examine our thinking. But if you look at verse 13 as well, it says, those who shut their ears to the cries of the poor will be ignored in their own time of need. And think about shutting your ears to the cries of something. It's very similar to what each and every one of us have seen today, or even some of us have actually done this, what I'm about to say. Think about, and those that know me, I love to use examples of homeless people because it's the perfect example of how our hearts are, they're drawn to the needs of other people, but we have to actually turn away from it so that we don't see it, that we may want to do something about that need. But you just see people at the light, and the light is red, and they're coming up on the light, and they see the person that's at the light coming with the sign walking towards them, and they'll wait way back from the car in front of them. And as as they're passing the other car, now they start to move up and they're all up on the bumper and they're looking all the way off to the side, not wanting to see the sign, the person, or anything. And for whatever reason, it's just I don't want to look up on you because I may want to actually do something about your situation. Um, but yeah, I mean, the key thing about that is what's going on in the heart. Uh, I really believe when I heard Daniel Napier say this about how, we are created in such a way that we desire and want to take care of other human beings' needs, and we have to be trained or conditioned that way, whether we're taught it or whether we just like, man, I just don't trust in all that, and I need everything for me. Whatever the way it is, we have to find a way to look away or ignore it to the point to where we get to the point to where we're like, whatever your need is really doesn't matter. And yeah, some people that are at the light may be running some type of scam or game on people, but not every person. Every person that's homeless, and if you are, and we'll see in one of these verses here in a minute, if you are a giver, if you have come to the point to where you've become the type of person that gives, it won't bother you if the person really is not doing what they say in the first place. But that's neither here nor there. Verse 17 says, "Those who love pleasure become poor, and those who love wine and luxury will never be rich." And there's that love of certain things that are causing people to get the wrong outcome than what they were seeking. Loving of pleasure is something that's very dangerous, and the love of wine and luxury, right, is something that can cause our hearts to go in the places, that we really don't want to go. We thinking that it may be okay, and that's why having a love or a strong desire for certain things, we're warned against, because it can take us somewhere that we were not intending to go. In a sense, what we really are doing is we're making idols of those things, whether it's pleasure and desire, whether it's luxury or wealth, or whatever the case may be. We make these things as idols, and an idol is anything that takes the place of God. It becomes your God. A couple more verses and then we're done. In verse 21, whoever pursues righteousness and unfailing love will find life, righteousness, and honor. Now, this is the opposite. Someone that pursues, that chases after righteousness, right? Rightness, unfailing love, they will find life, righteousness, and honor. So those that pursue and their heart is after those things that are right and correct, they get the outcome that they are looking for. Verse 26 and 27. Some people are always greedy for more, but the godly love to give. Oh man, it's so awesome. And we were just talking about how if you were the type of person to give, you give. If the person's running a game that doesn't do anything bad on you, you were given in the situation with the little bit of limited information you had about whatever that was going on. And there are times where we ought to get more information when we have time. But if you don't have time to sit there and get all the information, and you just have the opportunity to go to the dollar menu right here across the street, buy the person something, give it to them, then if they're playing games and really got money, that's not on you. You did what you thought was right at that time. But it says that people that are greedy, they always want more, right? When you have that love, again, like last verse, luxury, you just desire to have more wealth. That's all you want. You never, there's a never ending cycle to that desire. It's you want more and more and more. But giving people, they just love to give. It's the opposite. The sacrifice of an evil person is detestable, especially when it is offered with wrong motives. And so remember, we looked at Luke 16, verse 15, where it talks about that they appear to be right in front of everybody else, but God examines their heart. And you just think about earlier what I said when it comes to sacrifices. Some people come with the right heart and the right motives, and the reason why they're giving that sacrifice, they really want to be right with God. Other people, hey, take this sacrifice. I'm right. Let me go on about what I'm doing until the next time I need to get right back with you. And that's not the way it works, because God is not going to be mocked, and he's not going to we tend to think at times like God is not intelligent, but his intelligence is so much greater than ours. Eh, That's enough about that. But hopefully that's a blessing to you. But that's what you can do in right now. That was 20 minutes of your time of reflection, and just kind of looking over some scriptures and take a few notes. And you can do that morning, and then in the evening, you already know Gospels. Grace, mercy, and peace be with you.